This profile review, the video you're about to watch, is for three types of players. New players to League of Legends who are just getting into ranked, players who are returning after a brief period of rest, so like a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever, and players who are currently wanting to change their role or change their champion pool and they're a little lost. In today's profile review, we're going to be reviewing a Bronze 3 player's account who has taken a few years off League of Legends, and we're basically going to be talking about the journey they've gone on discovery of finding a new role and a new champion pool that they want to play with to eventually get to gold and eventually to platinum, which is their goal rank. Now, before we get into today's video, if you're interested in getting your profile reviewed like this one you're about to watch, please check out the links in the description below. Let's get into the video. Currently, you're Bronze 3 with a 51% win rate over around 40 games, and your goal rank is to get to gold or platinum. And the biggest issue that you think is currently holding you back is you're unable to stick to a role and focus on what you need to improve, to climb. So when you're a returning player, which I can clearly see because you know your last season was in 2020, or at least for ranked, it's really important to, have a bit of a, I guess I'd call like a discovery phase where you're basically just playing the game and going through the motions and just catching up to date, almost like reading the news. You're basically just catching up to date, figuring out what is new, what is meta, and what you really enjoy. And basically what you enjoy is the thing that you should really just be focusing on at the moment, because when you're struggling to find a role, you're also struggling to find champions. It kind of means you're struggling to find an identity in the game. And when we don't have an identity, it's really hard to climb because we don't really know what we are, what we're aiming for, and what we're trying to achieve, because we're just playing so many different things and doing all these little things maybe well or maybe badly, but across multiple roles and multiple champions, it just gets all very confusing and there's way too much information to process. So you're currently in that discovery phase, and what I'd encourage you to do is just embrace it. It seems like from our conversations on Discord, you are preferring top lane, but I also see a lot of potential in your AD carry and even potentially your support with a pretty decent win rate on Janna, even though it's only over 7 games, but as well as a pretty decent win rate on your Misfortune, which is over 6 games. And then your Garen, is probably your worst performing out of that. But because you've said you enjoy that role, I think, if you want to keep playing top lane, I would say focus on that Garen and keep playing it. Or, if you're not having fun on Garen, find that top laner that you really love. And again, that's the most important thing for anyone who's new to returning to the game, is you just need to focus on what you're having fun with and what you're enjoying. And then everything else after that comes later, because you need to build your role selection or your champion pool based on the foundation of fun. Because if you don't build it on the foundation of fun, when all of a sudden something changes, like you go on a loss streak, or maybe the meta slightly shifts, or an item gets nerfed, the number one thing people think is, I need to change my champion pool. Well, no, you actually don't. It's never going to be the champion, the item, the role, or whatever that's going to be holding you back. It's going to be how you play them. And so if we've got that foundation of fun, it means we're going to get quicker to mastery on the champion. We're going to enjoy the process more, because you need to think about League of Legends as a journey and a process rather than that end goal, whether it's gold, whether it's plat, because that's going to be less than 1% of your time playing the game is reaching that goal. The other 99% of the time is the journey that you need to go through from Bronze 3 to Bronze 1 to Silver 4 to Silver 2 to Silver 1, eventually to Gold, eventually to Plat. That journey is so much more important, and if you're not enjoying that, if you're playing champions you don't like because they're meta or they have a really good win rate, or you saw a YouTube video that told you to play them because they're OP, it's not the way to play League of Legends. It's not sustainable, and you can give it a go, but in 3 to 6 months time, or even after 2 or 3 games, you're going to find that strategy just doesn't work. So focus on the foundation of fun and build everything else on top of that. So once you figure out, what role you want to play and what champions you want to play based on fun, you then need to focus on performance. And so it's hard to say what performance goals should look like for you, because it seems like you're still playing a lot of different champions and a lot of different roles. I can see Misfortune, Janna, Trindamir, Darius, Garen, Udyr, Mundo. Like, you've played, what, 7 different champions in your last 7 games? And you're doing okay. Over your last 43 games, you have a 52% win rate. And I think in your last 20, you have about a 55%. And again, you're in that discovery phase, so I don't want to rush that. But when you feel like you are ready to, like, settle down, figure out that role and then make a commitment to yourself on, I'm going to stay with this role for at least 3 to 6 months, or at least until the end of this year, ideally, because that will allow you to actually get true progress. And what I mean by true progress is it takes time to master champions, to master roles, and to understand the intricacies and improve your performance on a role or a champion in League of Legends. The base skill level of players in League of Legends is really, really high. New players and returning players always struggle, and like gold and like bronze, iron, and silver players like this year are so much better than what they were a few years ago. And so, you know, you might think bronze is a low rank, but there's actually a really good quality player, like level of players in bronze. And so it can actually be really hard to climb out of bronze and silver because you're actually versing quite good players. Sometimes they're just not a bit serious, or they have mentality issues, or they are kind of in a phase like you where they're discovering. So understand that it's really hard to climb in League of Legends, and therefore you need to have a set strategy where you're focusing on one role and 1 to 3 champions. Now, Gabe, that's all I can really say about this profile review, because you're in that discovery phase, like I've mentioned a few times, where you just need to figure out where you want to go. You need to figure out your identity. You need to figure out what role you want to play, then what champions you want to play. And then we can talk about, well, okay, if you're going to be a Garen one trick in the top lane, this is now what we need to focus on, X, Y, Z. And so what I recommend is, once you've watched this, please reach out to me and let me know where you're at, if you're ready to settle down, and we can book a free call, go live on Discord together and kind of talk through what are the next steps, what does coaching look like, what does improvement look like, and what do you need to focus on to reach your goal ranks of gold and plat. So as always, thanks for signing up for a profile review. Cheers, good luck on the Rift, and I'll talk to you once you've watched this.